전쟁의 폐허 후 평화봉사단의 도움을 받았던 한국이 이제는 다른 개발도상국의 경제 사회 발전을 위해 봉사하는 나라가 됐습니다. 이를 기념하며 지난 7일 루즈벨트 대학에서 한국의 발전에 도움을 주고자 파견됐던 미국 평화봉사단의 활동과 이제 창립 20주년을 맞은 한국의 국제협력단의 모습을 담은 사진 전시회가 열렸습니다. 국경과 언어를 넘어 평화와 박애주의가 담긴 사진들, 시선 집중해서 함께 하시죠.
The exhibit hosted by Friends of Korea and the Korean Consulate. This exhibit is titled A Story of Volunteerism. It chronicles the Peace Corps volunteer experience in the Republic of Korea from 1966 to 1981. It also features Korea's international volunteer agency, the Korean International Cooperation Agency, commonly known as KOICA.
45 years ago, they came to a poverty-stricken country which had barely recovered from the wounds of a devastating war. They rolled up sleeves, helped Korea rebuild, and taught Korean students. Even now, they continue to show their support and love for Korea as friends of Korea.
You might know when President Im Young-bak was visiting the United States over 3 years ago, he officially invited the Peace Corps volunteers to return to Korea where they had served for 2 years. And in the course of 5 trips, over 500 volunteers out of 1,800 have returned to Korea and experienced the tremendous generosity of Korea and the Korean people that we knew so well from our service there. So our organization, Friends of Korea, was wanting to do something where we could repay both the Korea Foundation and the government of Korea for their kindness. And this exhibition actually was viewed by President Obama and President Lee during the G8 summit in Seoul last November. So our plan was to bring this to the United States. The plan is to have it in 5 cities. It's already been shown in Washington and Honolulu. After Chicago, it will go to New York and then Los Angeles in January. It's also a recognition of the 50th anniversary of the Peace Corps and the 20th anniversary of KOICA. The exhibit really has 3 elements. The Peace Corps volunteers showing their service, KOICA volunteers showing their service, and then we wanted to really be sure to let everyone know that Korea is a changed country from when we were there 40 years ago, and so there are 3 pictures showing modern-day Seoul and Busan. Well, especially, I think, in the early 60s, we know that John Kennedy, our president then, put out the call.
Men and women, young and old, to serve in the Peace Corps, to serve in all parts of the world, to serve at little pay, to do jobs that most of them have never done before, is one of the most encouraging manifestations of the American spirit that this country has seen in many years.
And in many ways, he asked people to do, he said, do not what you can do for yourself, but what you can do for your country. And I know when I was in college, it was a time where there was a great deal of social consciousness, and it was highly accepted and very encouraged to do volunteer work. And really what we found was the experiences themselves were much more enriching for us than probably anything that we gave to individuals. And I think it still takes place both in the United States and in Korea with, as you can see from the KOICA pictures, a strong sense of young people wanting to give back. I went to Korea in July of 1972, shortly after I graduated college. We did our training in Chuncheon, I believe it's Gangwon-do, and immediately I fell in love with Korea. I fell in love with learning the language. We were trained to do tuberculosis control. At that time, tuberculosis was a big problem. About nearly 4% of the populations were what we call X-ray suspect of having the disease, and almost 1% were actually infectious. So for 2 years, we worked within the Korean public health system with patient discovery, doing health education services, A unique thing about tuberculosis is one has to stay on medication for a long period of time, even though one feels better, so to do appropriate health education. Number one, it opened my eyes to see a whole other culture. I found Koreans are much more serious about ideas like friendship. If you have a Korean friend, you have a Korean friend for life. They would help you, they would do anything for you. Just the richness of singing. I never used to sing before I went to Korea, and I found that we'd go to parties and you'd have to sing a solo. At first I was terrified, and then I found out, hey, I had a pretty good voice and I enjoyed it. A real sense of family. You know, Koreans take care of their family. Family's number one. Grandparents live with their family. Just some wonderful, wonderful, wonderful things. Not to mention, I'd never eaten Asian food before. I learned to love kimchi and yukgaejang and kimchi jjigae and all the wonderful Korean dishes. And living in another culture and another language. Where I was, there was a missionary, but during the week, I pretty much just spoke Korean. I had a Korean name. I was called Pak Jong-chul. And it was very exciting. It was a lot of adventure in addition to doing good work. Volunteerism is something that's really strong, and when you take a look at the pictures, one thing you'll see is very strong similarities in the way the volunteers are reacting and the way the persons accepting the service are reacting. It's all joyful, and I think that's really the message, that in volunteerism there's a lot of joy for both those receiving the volunteerism and those providing it as well.
You raise